Life can be fast-paced, strenuous, and flat-out overwhelming. Life transitions and taboo topics can make it hard to catch your breath. Welcome to Breathe, a podcast that enables you to slow down, get your bearings, and engage in real conversations where no topic is off limits. Breathe is presented by Breath of Life, hosted by David Person and speaker-director Pastor Debleaire Snell.
Welcome to Breathe. I'm David Person. This podcast, of course, is presented by the Breath of Life television ministry, and we are always glad to have you with us as we take these excursions into knowledge with Pastor Debleaire Snell and Pastor Kirk Nugent. Today, we are finishing our series of conversations with Lamont Dupree of stewardshipofwealth.com. And if you've been listening to the podcast over the past few episodes, you know that Lamont has been dropping some real knowledge about finances and budgeting and basically how to get through the holiday season with a little less financial stress. And actually, the things he's talking about apply year-round.
So you talked about setting expectations with your kids. What about just, let's just say that person that you got 15 nieces and nephews and, you got a lot of uncles and cousins. And do you have a particular...
And they have expectations for the holidays, right?
Do you just kind of let your budget be the bad guy and you say to them on the front end, all right, little nephew, little niece, don't expect... How do you manage that? Or what would be your counsel to help somebody navigate that space where that pressure may exist?
Well, obviously with Kirk, he had one Nintendo. Everybody shared it.
Everybody shared it.
So you buy one gift and
get one for
share it
everybody.
around. And I think it does go back to your budget because there is pressure for you want to buy things for all the little ones. And I would say this, little ones don't ask, they don't need a lot.
Yeah, that's true. That is true.
And I would say there is, the dollar store. And if you got 15 nieces and nephews, you can find 15 small items. Yeah. And maybe give them find something that maybe a nice heartfelt card or something and, give that to them. Or make some kind of tradition where, that tradition. You give, maybe give $1 for the one that's one or $2 for the one that's two. And, something that's going to not break your bank, but something that's going to be significant and relevant.
That works good till they get about 15.
Then you say reality sets in. You're older now.
You're old enough now.
Here's this book I want you to read that took off the shelf and you signed it. Or something. Something that something that now, because now you can really begin to.
The regifting plan.
It's a legacy, man.
It's a legacy.
Right.
You're just handing it on. Yeah.
Right. And you say, listen, when your nieces and nephew get old enough, you pass that on.
That's right.
Something. There's ways around it. I mean, I would allow your budget to dictate what you do. Yeah. That's the bottom line. Don't feel the pressure that's cute little smile is going to go away. Because like I said, if you give them something simple, oftentimes that's enough.
That's enough.
Well, being in business for myself, one thing I've had to realize is there are years where the bounty is plentiful. Yeah. And I can be very magnanimous with the extended family. Right. And there are years when I just have to say to myself, it ain't happening. It ain't happening. And I'm not even going to think about it.
Right.
I hit whoever's at the very top of the list, which is usually, my son or when my parents were alive or whatever, and then that's it.
Wow.
Yeah.
And you got to be okay with that.
You got to be okay with that.
You got to be okay. But a lot of people are not okay. It's like they get anxious about it. And I'm just want to give somebody some freedom to say, listen, it's okay.
It's okay.
It's okay. And
Lamont, look in the camera and tell me.
It is okay. You don't have to do it. You don't have to do it. They'll survive, man.
That's
they
right.
will survive. I don't know anyone that has lost their lives or anything because they didn't get, a nice, shiny plastic piece of whatever it is. I've not had that happen. Watch it happen this year.
There's an old saying that somebody who is not aware that they're getting a gift that is, low budget can be happier with that gift than somebody who has all the means in the world and is given this exorbitant gift. I mean, it just all depends on the person's perspective. There's, as they say, African Americans are America's hot sauce. That's a whole statement in of itself. I'm going to leave it alone. But the reason why the enigma, especially as you talk to others in other countries, they wonder, how is it you guys can be who you are, how you can have basically the culture that you have, and yet the history that you have, right? And so there's a component of approaching the holidays and approaching gift giving, approaching getting things that is in the mind of the receiver. And I think as you look to cultivate, those are some of the things that you can also try to cultivate in your family as well. How do you receive a gift?
Right.
How do you give a gift? But also, how do you receive? Are you thoughtful in your process? Did you think about the fact that this person actually went out of their way, even if it's a card?
Yeah.
They thought about you. Yeah. And they put time, effort, energy into that gift, even if it didn't cost them a whole lot. How do you receive a gift? I think that's a question that it merits asking ourselves.
That's a good point. No, that is a very good point, because we do focus a lot on the giving and not on how we receive. And I know my mom taught me a lesson about just receiving a gift, because oftentimes when it's hard for us to. As you get older, it gets harder to receive
gifts. Yes.
And my mom, she said she tried to help me understand, like you said, if someone went out of their way to give you something, oftentimes we're sometimes we try to demur and say like, I don't. That's okay. But she said, listen, no, give that person what they're looking for. Allow them to give you something. They want to give it to you. Don't take it from them. By saying, no, it's okay. Listen, just say thank you and keep it moving and be appreciative. Like you said, that they went out of their way to give you this thing and thought about you.
It's a gesture of love. And so if you reject the gift,
mercy.
Some people will feel like you're rejecting the love. When that may not be what your intention is, but that's the way it may feel to them.
Right. And I think it becomes important to teach our children that. It's important to be appreciative and to be thankful for whatever a person is giving them. Whatever it is, like you say, even if it's a card. My grandmother would always say, "Oh, it's old dry card." If she opened the envelope and a check or some cash wasn't falling out of it, it's old dry card.
Dry card.
They waved it. They waved it.
Oh man!
And so even if it's an old dry card, be thankful that they went out of their way to get that card, wherever they got that piece of paper from. It's okay, and be thankful. Still smile, be thankful.
And those cards aren't that dry anymore. They cost money.
They cost $5.
$5 more.
You used to be able to get a couple for $5.
No,
one. You got to go to Dollar General now to get those.
There you go. There you go.
I have a whole nother. That's a whole nother card philosophy for me. So.
Mercy.
Let me ask you this. I know you're probably familiar with Dave Ramsey's kind of approaches where he talks about the envelope system as opposed to kind of swiping a card. Do you think it actually helps? And the envelope system is kind of essentially where instead of swiping a debit card, you take the money that's been budgeted, put it in a marked envelope that's for gas, food, gifts, so on and so forth. Do you think that's would help people to say, all right, we're going to take this Christmas budget out of the account. This is the money for food, for gifts, for travel. Do you think that has any impact or helpfulness in terms of actually staying in budget?
Yeah, I think so. I know, cash is kind of a dirty word nowadays, but it still spends.
Yeah.
And I think it still makes a difference. Because what it is, the philosophy around the envelope system is to have you think about what you're spending and where you're spending it, giving you some boundaries to make you think, more than you would if you were just able to swipe it.
And
so
you see that envelope getting thinner and thinner.
Right. And if you give money, it's like it hurts a little bit more.
It does.
Than just swipe it.
It's I don't know if it's a mental thing, but it's statistically people will spend less if it's cash. Like if I have $100 bill, I'm not breaking that thing.
It's hard to break it. And that's
I'm
how
not breaking it.
Sometimes that's how I save money. I'll put it in an envelope, and I'll get the cash and put it in an envelope and put it away. And I know it's there, but it's like especially if it's a large bill, I know if it's broken, it's gone.
It's gone. It's gone. Once you
And
break it,
that's
it's gone.
it. Everybody knows you break that 100, it's gone.
So in line with this conversation, this part of the conversation, which I think is really important, and we're going to be running out of time soon here, but I have to ask you about this emerging trend of giving children debit cards. How do you feel about that?
How old are the children?
Well, I think some start as early as maybe 10, 11, your tweens.
Earlier sometimes.
Even earlier? Okay. Okay.
I think it's a slippery slope because ideally what the credit card companies want you to do, they want you to do that, right? Because they want that early start to that natural motion of just swiping.
They're creating a culture.
Yeah.
Creating a culture.
They are, and they want that. So, because I would say if you give a child a card and it goes along with a lesson on budgeting, where they understand that when they swipe that card, it's not just money is just not coming out of the ether. It's something that's attached to that card, which is an account. And if it's their account, not your account. If it's their account where they have, $25, $50, $100, whatever, and you can show them, well, you bought this, so this is how much you now have, and if it's attached to that, then it's, I would probably feel more comfortable with something like that as opposed to them just having, a card, or even if it's a legitimate credit card, then they can just if it's not attached to anything real, they'll swipe, and not even feel it, But I would say probably, using cash is probably better. But if I know we live in that cashless kind of moving towards that society, but I think it's a slippery slope. You just have to make sure you're doing it intentionally and not just because it's a trend.
Yeah. How you have presented that card to the child,
right,
makes a difference. Makes a huge difference.
A huge difference. And like I said, it has to be attached to something real because you don't see it, but unless you're looking at it, you can show it on their ledger.
Any final thoughts that we ought to be thinking about this holiday season as it relates to spending and finances and how we deal with our family before we absolutely run out of time?
Well, I would just say the season. It should be about relationships. It should be about people. It should be about the reason for the season, as we say.
Right.
And ultimately, being able to keep that at the forefront is important. We recognize the commercialism and all of the things that come along with Christmas, and it's okay to embrace some of that, but also just keep in mind that it's the experiences, like we mentioned. Being able to create those experiences that are going to be life-changing and long-lasting. And I think if we can focus on those things, we'll make better decisions. And if we can, start now, especially if you have younger kids and helping them understand the whole process, this is an opportunity to help for life lessons to be taught about giving and receiving. And I think, if we just start with that baseline and build from there, then we'll have a wonderful Christmas season.
Amen. Powerful stuff.
Very
powerful.
Good stuff.
Yeah, very good. Very important. Yeah. So, Lamont Dupree, Stewardship of Wealth.
Yes, sir.
How can folks reach you and your team if they want to get more content, more information?
Yeah, we are at stewardshipofwealth.com, and you can find all the connection and contact numbers and email addresses there. Michael Vance and the team, we're all there.
Okay, cool.
Cool. So you guys do presentations in and around North Alabama.
We do.
And you'll go to churches or meet with other organizations and talk finance from a Christian perspective.
Oh, yes. Been doing it for years, man. It's been a privilege to be a part of that team and a part of that ministry. And we've seen some positive things happen, and just seeing the light come on about some things in regards to finances and being good stewards of what God has entrusted us. It's been definitely a blessing and a privilege to be able to do that.
That's good.
All right. Lamont Dupree, stewardshipofwealth.com is the website.
Yes, sir.
We're glad you joined us today for Breathe.
I appreciate this. This has
Thank
been
you.
good.
Appreciate you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Blessings.
So on behalf of Pastor Debleaire Snell and Pastor Kirk Nugent, I'm David Person. God bless you, and we hope that you will join us again for our next episode of Breathe. And don't forget, no matter how challenging life gets, even with finances, we know that can create a lot of headaches and heartaches for people, but you can just stop, pray, and breathe.
Breathe is produced by David Person for Breath of Life. Executive producer is Debleaire Snell, and sound engineer is Kirk Nugent. Audio episodes of Breathe can be found on Apple, Spotify, or Google podcast platforms. For video episodes and extra content, check out the Breath of Life YouTube channel. Breath of Life is faith-based content, resources, and programs from a contemporary urban perspective for those looking for hope and guidance. We believe that every breath we take is a testimony that God is consistent, that He loves us, and has a plan for our lives.